live on YouTube. Hi, hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you to Havertown, Pennsylvania, to the Skatium for tonight's coverage of St. Joseph's University Hawks hockey, live on Breakout Sports Broadcasting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, just outside of the city of brotherly love. My name is Trey Wright, as the Hawks will take on the CSCHC rival of the Knights of Neuman University here this evening. A couple of really good offensive teams coming into Haverford here this evening, starting, of course, with the St. Joe's Hawks, who have been red hot as their crimson uniforms have really described here so far this season. They are 7-2 to start the 2025-2026 campaign, have picked up a ton of huge wins on the season so far. Wins against the Bronx of Rider University, the Golden Rams of Westchester, and the Golden Bears of Kutztown. A couple of wins, including the one last night, a 3-2 win over the Golden Bears on the road. Goals scored from the Redhawks, including Chase Ebersol, Neil Kadehi, as well as Kyle Shanahan, Jackson Shanahan, I should say. And set to be a great one here on a couple of teams with a couple of winning records coming into tonight. So over on the Neuman side of things, they're 3-2 on the season, coming off of a 4-3 loss on the road. They face the Fightin' Blue Hens of Delaware, the University of Delaware, in the Gold Arena over on 412 Communications. They're looking to get back in the W column to try and remain above 500 for this 25-26 season. Got a lot of returners on this program for the Knights, but a lot of new faces here as well, particularly quite a few fellas from the Westchester Wolves USPHL Premier program. Not far down the road from Iceworks in Aston, Pennsylvania. Right in the heart of Delco there in Pennsylvania, but nonetheless, taking a look at tonight's starting lineups, beginning with the St. Joe's Hawks, coached, of course, by Dean Keeney. Going to get things started with James Carpenter, centering the 24 of Robert Romarino and the 14 of Jackson Shanahan. They'll be the three starting forwards on the red line for the Hawks. Peter Borman and the 8 of Shane Wilson, the two defensemen on the blue line. And getting another start in net here this season, Mark Szymborski. He'll look for his first win of 25-26 this season. Here for the sophomore from Winona, New Jersey, for the starting six for the Hawks. And over on the other side for the Neuman University Knights, coached by Steve Mascani, I should say. Get things started with the 12 of Cameron Wolf, being centered by the 71 of Tommy Angelone and the 66 of Nick Fonseca. The 43 of Hunter Herrera and the 5 of Nolan Huntley will be on defense. The 32 of Corey Hemberger, the long stalwart netminder, in net tonight for the Neuman Knights. Warm-ups have concluded here this evening as we get ready to rock and roll for puck drop for game number 10 of the season for the St. Joe's Hawks, as they look to get their 8th win of the season for a blue hot start to the season so far for the Hawks, who have come screaming out of the gate. They look to defend the nest once again. They take on the Knights of Neuman here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting. Glad to have everybody aboard. We'll take you downstairs inside the glass for the national anthem to get things started here for tonight's home game for St. Joe's here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting via YouTube. We're ready to get rocking and rolling here tonight as St. Joe's looks to get their 8th win of the season against a hungry and physical Knights team from Neuman. Quite a few fisticuffs broke out in the last game for the Knights up at the Gold Ice Arena in Delaware. St. Joe's wearing their home white uniforms with St. Joe's scripted across the front with a silver and red belt stripe and crimson pants as well. For the Neuman Knights, they're wearing their Navy Road uniforms, a gold and white belt stripe with the Neuman University logo on the front crest. So it's actually going to be Christopher Schofield who will get the start in net here this evening for the St. Joe's Hawks. Mikey Brazil and Dylan Kuba will also slot in here on the starting lineup. But nonetheless, ready to get things going. It's game time. It's hockey time in Haverford. We're ready to kick things off, and underway we go. Starting with a win for the Knights, taken down the other side there by Nick Fonseca. Shot from the point, cleared in front, and here come the Hawks trekking back with it. Kuba, tape-to-tape pass down the far side, looking to go. Were the Hawks, and a shot from Kahady, stopped there by the 32 of Corey Hemberger. Hemberger has been stout so far this season. The record of 2-1 for the Knights in a defensive zone draw. One here by St. Joe's and another pad save on the short side from Hemberger. Kadehi trying to knock this one down. Taken back down the far side, and St. Joe's will take in their own end. This is Mikey Brazil, backhanded it into the half wall there for a brief moment. Tracking back for it, the 43 of Hunter Herrera. St. Joe's player into the ice at the half wall, and Hemberger getting a little physical right at the moment. St. Joe's was crashing the net, and one of the Hawks got into Hemberger's gear. And you saw our coverage of the Ramapo Neuman stream last year. You know Hemberger gets very defensive in his own crease. Surrounding defensemen and forwards are more than willing to try and defend their stand-up netminder that has played well so far. 3 saves already, and looking for another one there were the Hawks. Backhanded here by St. Joe's, and trying to take this one out was Jeremy McCartney, wearing 27. Steered out of here and taken all the way back by the 46 of Chris Hunter. Going hard into the end wall was Jackson Shanahan, who had a goal last night against the Golden Bears of Kutztown. And trying to whack this one back in is James Carpenter. Shanahan right on the back of McCartney. This will wheel all the way down to Robert Romarino. Romarino will send it into the half wall, and St. Joe's beginning to set up shop. Minute and a half behind us here in the opening period of play. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything yet. Neuman just trying to get it out of their own end, and they will. Potential numbers the other way. Fanning on the inlet pass was Gordon Schindelman, one of the many former Westchester Wolves from last season. Skating back to the bench, Brian Barnett, the captain of Neuman. And taking this at the red line, the 17 of Alex Couture. Couture, another former Wolf from the Westchester pedigree. This is backhanded out of here by the Hawks. Finn Plummer. Second pairing defenseman will inlet this one as Schofield will take it behind his own cage. Trying to wheel it out of here is Hunter. And numbers nearly the other way for the Hawks. Backhanding into there was the 53 of Aiden Linzo. Chance at the doorstep. Nobody was home in white, but another chance here for the Hawks. This one pops in and out of Hemberger's glove. This will go with the length of the ice. And icing will be called here as Trey Fingerhut was the first one to the vulcanized rubber at the other side. Shots right now 5-1 in favor of the Hawks, who have come in screaming on the shot category. That was blocked in front by Tyler Rupert. And the Hawks trying to get things going here. Hit into the boards was Linzo. And wheeling it out of there was Alex Couture. Giving chase on it once again is Fingerhut. And he will get there in time for the icing as the linespeople and referees telling everybody from Neuman to get their rear ends back onto this frozen pond. Again, you talk about the pedigree that the Hawks have been able to beat so far this season. They took down Westchester in their 2 contests those 2 teams will face this season. Able to beat Kutztown in both of their appearances. And, of course, the biggest fish in all of it so far is they defeated our BSB affiliates, the Rider Bronx, a team that has long been a thorn in the side of these Hawks. They defeated Rider in a shootout 4-3 a couple of weekends ago, and trying to go short side on Hamburger. That was a chance there from Cuba. Shot through traffic. That was Michael Valenta trying to put one on cage, deflected aside. Herrera will race back the other direction with it, was trying to put it on the tape of Paul Cavallaro. A little bit of time and space out in front for Valenta. Hit it on the back end of Trevor Stimmel. Now a shot from about 40 feet out deflects away. Shane Wilson is on it. Steers away from the referee. Was trying to set up Stimmel. It was posted in the low slot. Still on it again are the Hawks. Here's Stimmel with a chance. Patted aside by Hamburger. Rebound comes to Wilson. Back over to Stimmel it comes. And a couple of point-blank saves out of Hamburger. There's a big collision right in front of us. Stimmel will backhand this one into the netting and out of play. And finally, a chance for these Gas Knights to go back to the bench for some well-deserved rest. 9 shots onto Corey Hamburger so far in this game. Only 1 shot has been put onto Christopher Schofield so far tonight. This will come outside of the offensive zone, 20 feet in front of the Neuman bench. And the draw is won by the Knights. Jacob McCallion, the other captain of this night's program, will stick it down the length of the ice. This one deflects off of a skater, so icing is waved off. And the Hawks in their own end for the first time so far this evening. 4.5 gone in period number 1, still scoreless, much to the chagrin of this St. Joe's program that has put 9 shots onto the Neuman netminder so far. Trying to wheel and deal through the zone was Cameron Wolf. He'll turn it over in the offensive zone, and here come the Hawks the other way. And this is whipped up into the netting by Hunter and out of play. Neuman trying to hold their own, but they haven't been able to get anything grade A onto Schofield so far. This one once again cleared out of here, but nearly kept back in by the Hawks. Charlie Maratea able to keep that one in, but here come the Knights in a 3-on-1, a 4-on-2 the other direction. Couture nearly lost in his skates, puts one on cage. It flares way over, and Schofield will cover it up. So he took a stick to the midsection from Gordon Schindelman, who was trying to swing at that like he was Cal Raleigh last night in Seattle. Of course, the Mariners winning that contest last evening against the Detroit Tigers in a 15-inning marathon. It went until about 1:30 in the morning Eastern Time. Now a little bit of moxie chance here for this Neuman program, but it's popped in and out of the zone. And having a tag up, but the offside still being called against them are the Knights. This will come outside of the zone, about 20 feet in front of the St. Joe's faithful here at the Haverford Skatium. Face-off controlled by the Hawks once again. This is Borman, who was trying to bank it off the half wall. Comes back down to Carpenter, and giving chase is Romarino. Romarino meets Finn Plummer in the corner. Here's a shot for Shanahan. Another chance. That one didn't reach Hamburger, but came back over to Shanahan. He wasn't able to get the follow-up chance off. Romarino on it again, and Hamburger will glove this down. And now some pushing and shoving after the fact. Finn Plummer getting to know Jackson Shanahan fairly well in the early stages of this contest, defending his stand-up netminder. That is 10 for 10 so far this evening. So the face-off will come back into the Neuman zone here. Carpenter not able to win the draw, but will hunt down Nolan Huntley. And we're going to get the game's first penalty, and it's going to be a tripping call against James Carpenter, it looks like. And a slashing call will be called against Carpenter. And he will go to the box here for a pair of minutes. And this penalty kill here is brought to you by the Greg McDonald Foundation. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most, just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. So James Carpenter into the box for a pair here. And Neuman's power play will get its first chance to operate this evening. Sticking out of the zone were the Hawks, and a good clear to start things off. Power play time has not started on the scoreboard yet, so I think we might be having some technical malfunctions trying to get things going here. This one will go the length of the ice. 13:30 to go in period number 1. And looks like there might be a discussion over whether or when James Carpenter will be let out of the box, as we have some technical difficulties with the scoreboard. Here's a chance there, denied by a good St. Joe's back check. Huntley working the top of the zone, sending it across to the 12 of Cam Wolf. Pops in and out of the high slot, somehow kept back in, and now it'll pop out. Wolf now waiting for options. Tape-to-tape pass over to Couture. Alex Couture hit into the boards, and this is cleared down the other side. St. Joe's not letting a shot on net so far. Neuman still looking for their second shot of the evening. They trail in that category 10-1. Second power play unit will come on here for the Knights, and that's quickly deflected back into the Knights' end of the ice. Still not able to get anything off of here has been Neuman, and backhanding this one the other direction was Sam Resto. Schindelman has the vulcanized rubber on the tape. Going down the near side with it is the man in 23. Peter Borman will put him in a little bit of a spin cycle. Carpenter waiting to get out of the box, and he will do so. A successful penalty kill here for the Hawks. And now we're going to get a too many men call against St. Joe's. And the Hawks bench a little bit perplexed on the call here over the bench minor. There are too many men on the ice, and it will be a bench minor here going against the Hawks, as Carpenter was trying to get out of the box there. So St. Joe's will be going right back here to the Greg McDonald penalty kill. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most, just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. Penalty kill 1 for 1 so far, and a bench minor for too many men on the ice. We'll put the Hawks right back in their place. 0 for 1 is the power play for Neuman. Didn't even get a shot off so far. Finally have the clock situation figured out, and Carpenter short-handed got as far as the center ice logo. Taken back here by Couture, but he's got a Knight that was way outside into the zone. Couture's stick is lifted, and this will come back to Wolf. Wolf playing catch with it on the blue line here for this power play. Stick down by Fonseca. This one pops in and out of the zone, and the Knights will tag up. 30 seconds gone in the bench minor against the Hawks. And coming back into possession with it is Huntley. Huntley back over to Wolf, trying to get it up to Couture, but he was a little far off, and now here's Carpenter short-handed. He gets railroaded and subsequently runs over Nolan Huntley. Huntley was looking to catch Carpenter in the railroad tracks, but it was quickly turned the other way around with a size differential on that play. And a big-time hit between a couple of big boys coming together. This is saucered out of St. Joe's end of the ice. 47 seconds to go, and the penalty against the Hawks. Hemberger, trying to start things from his own end, will lay things up for Aiden Grabowski. Grabowski to Schindelman. Has knocked off there by Hunter, and Hunter will clear once more. And Hemberger nearly let this one into his own cage, was able to stop it at the 11th hour. And the Knights will once again start back up. Schindelman lost it in his skates, and it'll cost them a little bit more time in this power play. 18 seconds to go, and the too many men calling one final gas here for the Neumans on the man advantage. Another big hit there from Gordon Schindelman, and Schindelman is going to pay the price for it. Referee's arm went immediately into the air, and it's going to be an interference call against the freshman. So special teams all over the place, and now St. Joe's will get a crack at the man advantage. The St. Joe's power play is brought to you by the Greg McDonald Foundation. Greg McDonald was a proud St. Joe's alumni who believed hockey builds leaders. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. So we'll play 4-on-4 for the next 9 seconds. Once Michael Valenta will get out of the box here. An abbreviated power play for the Hawks for the next minute and 51 seconds. Out of the box is the Hawk, and we're back to 5-on-4 here, and St. Joe's looking for a power play goal. Back on the other direction with it for a brief moment was McCartney, and the Hawks starting from their own end. This is Carpenter, who's got some speed. Nearly got through the entire defense, but lost the puck. Kuba's got it, not able to hold on to it, and Wilson hounded from behind there by Preston Goshorn, and Goshorn a 2-on-1 shorthanded. Goshorn takes it himself, this one on top of the goal, and will stay out. It indeed did tickle Twine, as Schofield was able to bat that a little bit into the air. And nearly a chance for Neuman to turn the tide here, shorthanded on a 2-on-1. It's a good shot selection from Goshorn. He's trying to catch Schofield off guard. Was able to tickle the Twine like we said, but not on the inner side of the cage. And it remains a 0-0 hockey game past the midway point in the first period. Shots still 10-5 now, was getting a couple of shots there are the Knights. Marietta wearing 43. Gets it across. Over to Hunter. Hunter kicks it back up to the top of the point. Fanned on the inlet pass, and nearly another chance for Neuman. And a really good back check from Marietta. Clearing it back in there was Barnett, and the Hawks will start from their own side once again. 38 seconds to go in the penalty against Schindelman. Hit hard into the boards there was Kadehi. Nearly flipped back out, and Kadehi's back on it. He takes a shot. He shoots and scores. Neil Kadehi on the power play. Lights the lamp for the opening time tonight, and it's quickly 1-0 Hawks. Kadehi got railed right at the face-off circle. Immediately got back up. Puck came to his feet. Nice little wrister over to the left shoulder of Corey Hemberger will make it a 1-0 contest. 8:31 to go in period one. So a hot start for the Hawks. On their 11th shot of the contest, they finally find the back of the net. Trying to add a little bit more here, but Neuman looking on the counterattack. I believe that goal would go unassisted for Kadehi on a power play goal, and Stimmel looking for a little bit more on a ferocious forecheck. Trying to get it back over was Tommy Angelone. Sticking it back in from long range was Stimmel, and a nice save there at a Hemberger. Big collision into the corner between a couple of players. That was O'Rourke and Plummer getting to know each other very well on a crisp and cool mid-October evening, and looking to find top shelf there were the Knights. Just deflects out of play. think that was Tommy Angelone with a nice shot there, trying to go short side onto Schofield. Rare face-off in the St. Joe's end. They've only had a handful of those so far in this contest, but these face-offs have been won really well by the Knights so far. Is Gordon Schindelman throwing the body once again. He's already got one interference minor tonight. Schofield will cover up on this. Again, it's somebody that covered the Mercer Chiefs in the USP Premier last season. Knowing a lot of these young men that played for Westchester, like Schindelman. A philosophy under Brian Leonard, all about throwing the body up in Westchester at the PNY Sports Center. Micah Brazil will hold up. He is crunched hard into the stanchion, gets back up. Now it's Kuba, who's hit hard right in the numbers. And he is going to draw a penalty, it looks like. And it was Schindelman once again will be the offending party. And it's going to be a charging call against Schindelman, so he will go right back to the penalty box. And the coaching staff and the officials getting into a little bit of a chin wag here with 7:10 to go in the first period. It's not really a great sign. Well, we're already in the first period, just past halfway, and we've already got a coach nearly getting ejected. Starts with a win for the Hawks, who with one power play goal already. Kuba was looking for another, just sailing it over the crossbar. Once again, the St. Joe's power play is brought to you by the Greg McDonald Foundation. Greg McDonald was a proud St. Joe's alum who believed hockey builds leaders. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. 1 for 1 on the man advantage so far is St. Joe's. And a power play goal from Neil Kadehi unassisted. 6:50 to go. Neuman will dump this in on the far side. Goshorn trying to give chase. Hawks lead 1-0. And this is dumped back in on a dump and chase. Huntley with a big hit into the boards there. Onto the 53 of Linzo. Back to the top of the zone. Hemberger will steer that shot away. Kept in by Wilson. Back to the top. St. Joe's beginning to buzz. Kuba was looking for it again. Linzo gets dumped right in the mid-slot. A little bit slow to get up. And he has to hurry out of there for the Hawks to try to get back in on the delayed offside. Halfway home in the charging call against Schindelman. Kuba on it again. Put one on. Sticked aside by Barnett. But it's St. Joe's on it once again. Carpenter back over across. A howitzer just wide. Kuba collects it. 43 seconds to go in the man advantage. Carpenter at the point. Over to Kubo. Trying to wait for options. Trying to steer it around Herrera. Herrera was tied up with Kuba. And St. Joe's will continue to keep it in. Trying to wheel things over. It's Romario that's got it. Puts one on Cage. That one takes a heavy bounce off of the end wall. Carpenter on it again. 21 seconds to go. Hemberger with a save. Romario on it once more. St. Joe's cannot get out of their own, Neuman cannot get out of their own end. And finally with the clear, 10 seconds to go in the penalty against Schindelman. One last gasp for the St. Joe's power play. Stimmel on the far side puts on the brakes. Rather, that was Maratea. He's trying to get it over to Resto, and the power play will expire. We'll back to 5-on-5. Maratea trying to dig at it right at the Zamboni door, along with Couture and a plethora of other players. Under 5 to go in the first period, 1-0. St. Joe's leads. Couture's got it. Saucers it right into the gear of Maratea as the Hawks are onside. Couture trying to look for the outlet. He'll get it across the red line. Onside are the Knights, and Couture looking to go coast to coast with it. He's hit off of it and will lose possession. Now it's Valenta down the far side. He's screaming in, nearly tried to get around the defense. It was a poke check away from getting out. Bodies collide. Everybody going into the glass. More players will fall to the ice. The bowling alley opening up here, and now we're going to get a penalty called. And Tyler Ruppert went down. He looks to be in a lot of pain. It looks like St. Joe's will be going back to the penalty kill. It's Michael Valenta. High stick the call against Valenta, who served the bench minor. And with 4:12 to go in the first period, I think it's safe to say, had a lot of special teams so far tonight. And of course, the St. Joe's penalty kill is sponsored by the Greg McDonald Foundation. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most. Just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. So a chance for Neuman to draw even, and it starts with a win for the Knights. Just shooting it wide was Goshorn, who's had a couple of chances so far this evening. Goshorn on it again, right behind Schofield's office. Goshorn sending it across. Couture's got it at the blue line. Couture taking aim, was looking for the redirect. Goshorn spins it back into the zone, looking for the rebound. They score! Tommy Angelone on the tic-tac-toe play will draw even for the Knights. It's 1-1. A sensational symphony of passing there for the Knights. Angelone, first one in the Selly line. I believe Goshorn and Couture will get the helpers on that play. So we're right back to where we started from. With 3:42 to go in the opening period, it's 1-1. And a couple of power play goals from either side. Icing is waved off here, so the Hawks will start from their own side once more. Shanahan down the far side, up to Carpenter. Carpenter trying to bring the lead back over, trying to go coast to coast. Hemberger remains tall. Borman now on it. He loses it as he is Huntley coming together. A big hit into the glass. And now another penalty is going to be called here. It's going to be a slashing call. Who will be the offending party is yet to be determined, but I believe it is going to be a Neuman skater. It's going to be Nick Fonseca going into the box. And the St. Joe's power play is brought to you by the Greg McDonald Foundation. Greg McDonald was a proud St. Joe's alum who believed hockey builds leaders. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. Hawks power play 1 for 2 so far tonight. Getting the only tally on goal and trying to bring this back to a 1-goal lead going into the first intermission. 3 minutes even remaining in the first. Shot from the point. Steered aside. Brazil has got it. Brazil back to the point. Up to Maratea playing quarterback. Back over to Brazil. He will join Maratea on the blue line. Brazil from long range, glove down by Hemberger. .240 to go in the first period. 1:33 and the penalty against Fonseca. Off of the draw. One here by Couture. Was trying to clear it back out. Kept in by Maratea. Kadehi, the lone goal scorer for the Hawks so far. Back to Maratea at the point. Maratea will bank it off of the near side. Alinzo lost possession of it and nearly caught in the railroad tracks was a Knight. That was Sam Resto laying the body. And Neuman. Well, I think we're going to be getting another penalty here. It's going to be Finn Plummer going to the box for boarding. Plummer trying to get an explanation from the referee as the officials not letting anything slide tonight. Already, the 7th or 8th penalty called in this period. Fortunately enough, St. Joe's 5-on-3 is once again brought to you by the Greg McDonald Foundation. Greg McDonald was a proud St. Joe's alum who believed hockey builds leaders. Be where your feet are. be part of the legacy. So a boarding call against Plummer. That coming at the 2:17 mark of the first period. Penalty was not up on the scoreboard, but less than a minute to go, and now a 5. Actually, it's a 5-on-4. Actually, there was coincidental minors between a couple of players, so it's actually just remains a 5-on-4 with coincidentals. Once we get the identity of the Hawk in the penalty box, I believe that might be James Carpenter that might be in the box. 100 seconds to go in the first period. We're not at even, 1-1, 15-9 the shot ratio, with St. Joe's leading in that department. Romarino will come into the Knights' office. Right at the half wall, he is met by Huntley. Couture is on it, loses it for a brief moment. Trying to get back into it is Romarino. Back to the top of the point. Romarino on it again, puts one through traffic. That was kicked aside by the 17 of Couture. Romarino won it again. Carpenter, who is not in the box, takes a shot on, was looking for the redirect from Wilson. Steers wide of the cage. Romarino back on it. 1 minute to go in the first period of play. It's been a good one so far, especially if you're a referee and you love seeing no nonsense from the stripes. Bring this one down. Is Schofield on it once more? And that will do it for the power play. St. Joe's 1 for 3 on the man advantage as Plummer. I believe that might be Carlos Rowland. Either Carlos Rowland or Abram Hershey right now in the penalty box. Slot fade. Just going a little bit wide. Goshorn trying to chase after that. And St. Joe's looking to clear it out. They will. Skated down by Goshorn. Make that Aiden Grabowski. Puts one on. Put into the corner by St. Joe's, and Neuman looking for a late period tally. There's a near chance there from the Knights, but it's cleared out of here by the Hawks. 16 seconds to go in the first period, and even numbers the other way. Holding up are the Hawks. Putting a shot on net. Hemberger with a save. Rebound, they score! Sal Trilio, with 9 seconds to go in the first, will bring the lead back into the possession of the Hawks. Triolo, for his first shift of the evening, going 1 for 1, and I believe that's the Swedeboro freshman's first goal of his collegiate career, and what a way to get the lead back. So with 9 seconds to go, it's a 2-1 hockey game for Triolo's first of his collegiate career. And that'll do it for the opening period here at the Skatium. Shots on net after the first, 17-9 in favor of the Hawks, who lead 2-1 off a goal from Neil Kadehi and Sal Triolo. To get things started, Neuman was able to cut the deficit to a tie with a goal there late from Tommy Angelone. But nonetheless, we'll step aside for a couple of moments here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting. Your score after 1, St. Joe's 2, Neuman 1. And we welcome you back inside the glass of the Havertown Skatium, where we'll bring you tonight's coverage of the second period. Tonight's game between the St. Joe's University Hawks and the Neuman University Knights here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting via YouTube. My name is Trey Wright, and after one period of play, the Hawks lead the Knights 2-1. There are a lot of goals and a lot of penalties in that opening period, as we'll now take you into the particulars of everything, starting with the goal scoring from the Hawks. It was Neil Kadehi on the power play to get things going for the Hawks with an assist to the number 53 of Aiden Linzo, and Mikey Brazil on the secondary assist. Then with 9 seconds remaining, Sal Triola with his first as a Hawk. Tickled the twine and lit the lamp with 9 seconds to go. Chris Hunter and Neil Kadehi on the particulars. So Kadehi on Gordie Howe hat trick watch got 2 points tonight with a goal and an assist. And with the physicality we have seen from a lot of these players so far tonight, I don't think a fight or a scrum would potentially be out of the question for these guys. Then, of course, for the Knights, they were on the power play. Tommy Angelone getting things going with assists coming from Alex Couture and Cameron Wolf on a tic-tac-toe play on the power play. And we were able to get the identity of the other St. Joe's Hawk that was in the penalty box. It was Sam Resto and Finn Plummer, the ones that are getting to know each other a little bit too well for the referee's liking. And they were sent to the box for coincidental roughing minors and will remain 5-on-5 here for the start of the second period. Glad to have everybody aboard here for tonight's coverage of St. Joe's hockey here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting. Hawks looking for their 9th win of the season, looking to go 2 for 2 on the weekend. They took down the Golden Bears of Kutztown 3-2 last night to rise up to 8-2 for their best start to a season in well over 10-15 years as a program. They have come really strong out of the gate. We'll see if they're able to try and keep things up in this ACCHL Premier, or this ACCHL Elite Conference. They're able to take down one of the ACC Premier teams in Ryder a couple of weeks ago. And they've been riding the momentum of that ever since that big win on road ice against the Bronx. As both teams come back out here for the middle period, 9 penalties across both teams. 5 of them coming from the Hawks, if I'm not mistaken. It was indeed 5 penalties coming from the Hawks, 4 of them coming from Neuman. So the referee is not letting anything go. Of course, these are 2 teams that are very physical, especially Neuman, with a lot of those Westchester alumni players playing a very physical game here. We'll see what these guys are able to do here in the second period of play. St. Joe's is able to pad on to their lead, only leading by a goal with 20 down, 40 to go. The Hawks in good shape, 17-9 the shots from the first period. Corey Hemberger has been strong when he's been called upon. A couple of grade A chances have been stopped there by the netminder for the Knights. St. Joe's now moving right to left. And we'll get the short change here. Same thing with Neuman, who will move left to right. St. Joe's in white, Neuman in navy. And we'll get things going here for the middle period of play. Hamburger and Schofield are ready to go. And so are we here at the broadcast booth. We're underway for the second period. And it starts with a win for the Knights, trying to set the tone early for this second. Brazil trying to clear it out of his own end. Brought back into there by Hunter Herrera. Kuba not able to stick it in. This is gloved back down here by Goshorn, and Goshorn's chance deflected away by a couple of back-checking Hawks. Hunter has got it back over to Shane Wilson, the captain of this St. Joe's program. This will skirt down all the way, where Cam Wolf will take it. Wolf had it and lost it. Hunter Herrera trying to direct play. This will come back out of the neutral zone. We're clearing this one back in is Wilson. And icing will be waved off here. First one back to the puck was a Neuman skater with Nick Fonseca. Some nice passing deflated there a little bit from the Knights. And now St. Joe's trying to get things out of their own end to start things off. And the Hawks getting north with it. Kubazana dropping it back to Brazil. He's got a shot, but not able to get anything on it. And now we're going to get the game's 10th penalty. And too many men once again called on the Hawks. Their second bench minor of that regard in this game here tonight. So another bench minor as Trevor Stimmel will be the one serving it. And for the 10th time this evening, we'll get a special plays play here. And this penalty kill for St. Joe's, sponsored by the Greg McDonald Foundation. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most, just like the Greg McDonald Foundation. Fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. Starts with a face-off win for the Knights, who trail by 1 in the early stages of the second period. Carpenter short-handed, trying to break things out. It's a partial 2-on-1. Carpenter trying to send it across. Hemberger sliding to make the stop. Bodies flying all over the place as the Hawks were trying to catch the Knights on a short-handed chance. That was Romarino that nearly had a chance there short-handed, but was stonewalled by Hemberger. This will go the length of the ice, but icing will be called here. Neuman bench thought it deflected off of a stick right at the red line, so this will come back into the Knights' end. 1:19 to go in the bench minor against the Hawks. Stimmel in the sin bin, serving it. 17:59 to go in the second period. St. Joe's leads 2-1. Carpenter off for the draw. Not able to officially win it there, but is able to get it to the red line. Neuman has been really strong on these face-off wins so far tonight. They have won about 65% of the game's starting draws, and this is bat out of the air by Herrera. Herrera from his own end. Skating away from Carpenter. Still on it is Herrera. Hit into the boards by Romarino, and now Carpenter on a mano-a-mano with Huntley. Carpenter trying to steer around Huntley, but a really good back check there out of Huntley. He's able to negate things short-handed for the Hawks. 34 seconds to go in the bench minor. Now another short-handed chance. Hemberger's able to make the glove save. Huntley with momentum pitches it back into the St. Joe's end. 20 seconds to go in the bench minor. Another chance here for Goshorn. Wheeling around, waiting for options. Seam pass over to Couture. He puts one on net, and it's steered aside by Borman, I should say. Romarino giving chase. Trying to angle the 17 of Couture into the boards. Romarino still trying to play as the bench minor is off. We're back to 5-on-5, and a shot from Romarino. I think that went off of the leg of Huntley, who's now battling into the half wall. St. Joe's once again beginning to buzz. A backhanded pitch in goes nowhere. Another chance wide of Hemberger's office. Rebound comes back over to Brazil, and he's not able to get anything on it. A flurry of chances from the Hawks in what looked more like a power kill. More than a penalty kill there from St. Joe's, is able to get a handful of shots off. They win the draw early on, but it'll come back out into the neutral zone. Backhanded back into there by Fingerhut. And this will come back the length of the ice, and icing will be called. First one to the puck was Jacob Lulick. First time we've mentioning Jacob Lulick's name here tonight, taking his first shift of the young evening. The face-off will come to the far side of where we're perched here at the Skatium. Face-off is controlled by St. Joe's, and they look to set things up once again. Coming back over to with it was Tyler Rupert. Rupert is able to stick it across, but it will find the midsection of a Hawk. That was Linzo. Caught in his gear for a brief moment, and St. Joe's down to their own red line. This goes up into the air, but will tickle the netting just a little bit to go out of play. And a defensive zone draw to the right-hand side of Chris Schofield. Schofield has been strong when called upon so far tonight. 9 for 10 for the Hawks netminder. The only blemish on his record was a nifty tic-tac-toe play from the Knights on the power play. But he has been good when he's been called upon so far. Now breakaway chance. Here's Linzo down the alleyway, in on Hamburger, trying to go backhand, forehand, and not able to get anything off. Linzo with a breakaway chance, not even able to get a shot off there. And Hamburger dodging a bullet. Same thing with the Knights. Hit hard into the boards there was a Knight. Another chance here, and that one goes wide of Hamburger's office. Trying to steer that one on was Stimmel, I believe. Bodies flying all over the place, and the Knights will finally get out of their own end. Players colliding once more. Schindelman right onto the tape of Goshorn, and Goshorn immediately knocked off of the vulcanized rubber. Linzo has got it. Will get it up off of the stick of Finn Plummer to negate the icing. Couture will take it back into his own end. He is hounded by a Hawk at the far side. Couture with a great cut down to the near side, trying to cut. There were a couple of more Hawks once again. Stimmel back on it, loses it for a brief moment. Down the other side with it come the Knights. This is Plummer at the far side. Hounded there by Brazil. Back down to the near side where it'll find Barnett. Goshorn trying to get back on it. Everybody going all over the place. And now we're going to get another penalty here. And I believe this is going to be going against St. Joe's once again. A slashing call. And it looks like it'll be going against Trey Fingerhut. So back to the Greg McDonald Foundation penalty kill. Go the Hawks. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most. Just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. Penalty kill has been a strong point so far for the Hawks, taking their 11th penalty of the game. But they have been strong all but one time. And Neuman trying to draw back in. Nearly a backhanded howitzer from Huntley, hitting a Hawk right in the head area. And hopefully that Hawk that was in the happenstance of being hit in the head is happy and heartily. Looks like the draw will come back at the center ice. Carpenter and Wolf to meet at the draw, and it's immediately nearly flung into the Hawks bench once again. $1:30 to go in the penalty against Fingerhut, and the Knights will start from their own zone. Romarino will quickly clear this one the length of the ice. Couture will track back for it. Couture, the primary assist on the only goal so far for the Knights so far. Gets it back over to Huntley, and Huntley try to get it up to Wolf, who was just a tad bit offside. And this will come back out of the zone in front of the home of the Fours for Haverford High School banner over at the far wall. Left wing faceoff here at the Haverford Skatium. Wolf and Carpenter off of the draw once again. It's taken back here by Fonseca. Fonseca with a wrist shot. Schofield with the save, and the rebound collected there by a Hawk on the far side, and now trying to drive in Once again, that was Maratea with a really good solo effort on the far side. Giving chase after it are the Hawks. A 3-on-3 the other direction. Couture holding up. Puts it between his legs, trying to find the 71 of Angelone, the lone goal scorer tonight for the Knights. Gets it to Wolf. Takes his shot, goes right into the glove of Schofield on a short side chance. 29 seconds to go in the interference call, or the slashing call against Fingerhut. Hawks coming into tonight with a record of 8-2. Neuman 3-2 on the season, coming off a 4-3 loss against the Blue Hens of Delaware. Grabowski at the point was trying to find Schindelman. Schindelman back on it. Lost it for a moment, cleared out of there by Kadehi. Foot race for the vulcanized rubber at the far side. This will find Grabowski. Grabowski, tape-to-tape pass out the far side. This is Schindelman with a lot of speed, screaming down the left wing, trying to look for the wraparound chance. Wasn't able to get anything off. Back to 5-on-5. Schindelman still with it. Finally has it poked away from him by a Hawk, and now St. Joe's trying to get out of their own end, but it kept back in by McAllion. McAllion sees it whacked, delayed offside against Neuman. They'll tag back up, and the Hawks will start once again from their own side. Kadehi, the opening goal scorer of this game, pitches it in, collect his own rebound, tied up with Couture at the far side. Bodies colliding at the near side once again. Kadehi was trying to stick it in. Puck played with a high stick, and this will come out of the offensive zone. .11:34 to go in the middle period, just about at the midway point through tonight's contest. A 2-1 lead for St. Joe's. And our first of two games here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting this evening, as the Rider Broncs will rematch the Purple Eagles of Niagara University. Later on, puck drop for that game coming in about 15-20 minutes time, live from the Flemington Ice Arena. Over on Breakout Sports Broadcasting, Cody Decker and Matt Fusillo will have the call for that later on this evening. Rider losing to Niagara 4-1 yesterday to the Purple Eagles, trying to find their footing in the ACCHL Premier. Seam pass all the way over and trying to find a little bit of space where the Knights, that was Rupert. Taken back here by St. Joe's, they've got numbers. Kadehi on it again. He's looking for another, nearly tripped over. Another shot, that was from Maratea. Blocked into the corner, bodies going all over the place. St. Joe's with a nearly good chance there. Trying to trick it back in was Kabua. That's Kuba. Trying to bring it back in. Maratea will bring it back into the zone. This is Brazil that's on it, trying to take it away from Huntley. Trying to outrace the icing there was Preston Goshorn, but not able to do so. 10-10 to go in the second. Third of four games here on tap this evening. St. Joe's looking to be the first BSB team to win this weekend, as both TCNJ and Rider fell to their respective teams last night. A 4-2 loss for the TCNJ Lions against the Drexel Dragons. And Rider losing 4-1 to the aforementioned Niagara Purple Eagles. The TCNJ team lost at the Division I level, and the Neuman Knights will come to the Cy Fieldhouse tomorrow evening to take on the D2 Lions. And a little bit of a matinee matchup tomorrow afternoon, live from the Cy Fieldhouse for a little bit more Division II hockey. Here for the CSCHC in a battle of a couple of collegiate rivals. We got a bucket coming off. I believe that was Aiden Linzo who had the lid come off of there in the mad scramble in front of Hamburger's office there. We'll pass the midway point through the second period. So cue the Bon Jovi, ladies and gentlemen. Halfway home here in this one in what has been a relative slogfest so far. Got this game started a little while ago, and actually, my apologies, it is 6:15 here. I thought it was 7:15 for a brief moment. A bit of daylight savings enhanced with a quick glance of the watch. So the Rider game getting started at 7:35, so in a little bit over an hour. Over on Breakout Sports Broadcasting, Huntley looking for it, and he is stood up by Schofield. Huntley was looking for a decent tally there to knot the game back up at 2. And Romarino across the blue line. Back on it, looking to load the gun there. Just a little bit wide of the cage. We got one player dumped behind the play, and it's going to be a delayed penalty call here as the Knights looking for things on the delayed call. Not sure who is down behind the play, but very slow to get up. I believe that might be Brian Barnett. Trainer coming out as Jackson Shanahan will be the offending player. And now a discussion in the referee's crease whether this is going to be a minor or a major. And it was actually Nolan Huntley that was a little bit shaken up on the call. And just a 2-minute minor for cross-checking for Shanahan. We'll put the Hawks back on the Greg McDonald Foundation penalty kill once again this evening. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most, just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. So it's another Greg McDonald Foundation penalty kill, as the Hawks have been stout on the man disadvantage so far. Trying to whip it out of the zone there was St. Joe's, but it's kept in by the Knights. Looking for a cross-slot feed was Neuman. Trying to take it back there is Zane O'Rourke. Get back at the top of the zone. This is Herrera, hits it off of the crossbar, square and true. Somehow stayed out. Schindelman on it again. That one blocked aside by Maratea. Herrera still on it. Neuman beginning to buzz on this man advantage. 1:28 to go in the power play. Schindelman racing after it. He gets a stick in the midsection of Kadehi. Still on it as Schindelman goes behind the cage. Herrera on it again. That one blocked by O'Rourke by the midsection of the man in 72. Herrera back on it, sends it across to Grabowski. Grabowski playing it to Schindelman. Schindelman, Maratea just trying to clear it out of the end. He pins it across into the corner. Kept back in here by Grabowski. Loose puck, Maratea will stick it out. And he might have a little bit more juice to try and come with it short-handed, just wide of the cage, and he gets rocked into the corner. So Maratea having to skate back into the play in a partial 5-on-3 here. And this will be cleared back in. 32 seconds left in the penalty against Shanahan. 3-on-2 the other way. Neuman looking for the equalizer on the man advantage. And Schofield will say enough of this and will freeze play. A much better looking power play for this Neuman group here. They're able to keep in the zone once again off the stick of Angelone. 15 seconds to go in the cross-check against Shanahan. 7:07 to go in the second period. Looking to tie the game up are the Knights. Second unit coming on here. Goshorn shot is blocked, and now numbers the other way here, even at 2-on-2. Penalty time is up. Right out of the box was St. Joe's, and they nearly Had a near jailbreak goal there as Neuman coming back the other direction, getting a stick up high was Romarino, it looked like. A rare no call on the play, given that pretty much everything under the sun has been called tonight. Surprised that one kept the referee's arm down. Schofield with a pad save. Back to Romarino, back up square and true. Nearly taken away here, and now another breakaway chance. Stopped there by Hemberger. Corey Hemberger just about single-handedly keeping this Neuman program in the contest. 23 for 25 so far tonight. And the Knights are still within one thanks to his prowess in the cage. .6:22 left in the second period. .23 for 25 was Hemberger. Like we said, cleared out of there by Paul Cavallaro. Icing is waved off. Hit into the boards there were a couple of players trying to fight for the loose change, and it comes back into the possession of St. Joe's. Trey Fingerhut is on this. Skates across the blue line, down the left wing. Now trying to get it back at the far side were the Hawks, but it's once again Cavallaro who will clear this out. Not far enough for an icing. This one trickles off of the tape of McCallion. Lulek in his own end will bank this off of the stanchion. Well, it'll find Plummer. Plummer back over across to Couture. Couture into the end wall there. It will once again find the 15 of Rupert. Plummer into the end wall. Rupert giving chase. And Lulick will take it away from Rupert. Falling down after the fact was McCallion trying to sell another penalty, it looked like there, as bodies go colliding all over the place. Another bank shot. This is kept in by Couture. Couture knocked off of the puck. He's hit into the boards. And the physical play has definitely been a factor so far in this contest. Schindelman to Couture, looking to go for a cross-slot feed to Rupert. He was tied up. Linzo digging at it. Same thing with Schindelman and a plethora of players at the left wing. Kept in by Neuman. 4:44 to go in the second period. Looking for another cross-slot feed was Barnett. This will go the length, but it's not going to have enough legs for an icing. Couture back on it. Fresh skaters getting on here for the Hawks as Schindelman was lurking at the blue line to look for a breakaway. Wasn't able to get anything on it. Goes short at the Zamboni door. Tied up with a Hawk at the far side. Maratea in the trapezoid. Puts it on the tape of Cuba. Cuba banking it over to Mikey Brazil, and Brazil's got a little bit of space down the right wing. Brazil with a good back check there from McCartney. Not able to get anything on it. 4 minutes to go in the second period of play. Both teams with a lot of back and forth physical action. It's been a lot of bodies spilling all over the place here at the Skatium. Icing is waved off. Maratea first one to it. Head first nearly into the boards there was Goshorn. Is able to get back onto the skates. Numbers now for the Hawks. Maratea, and on Hemberger, he goes hard into the board, rather the crease. Knocking the net off of its moorings. And we finally get a stoppage and a little bit of a breather here with a lot of back and forth action in this one. Still no goals in the second period. Sal Triolo's late period tally in the first still proving to be the go-ahead. Although it has not been from a lack of trying from both sides, and some really good saves from both Christopher Schofield and Corey Hemberger have kept this a 2-1 game. Brazil was looking to change that, fake the clap bomb, trying to get it back over to Cuba. We'll find Kadehi at the far side. Tied up with Wolf. Kept back in at the point by St. Joe's. And trying to clear it out of there was McCartney. Got as far as the own blue line, but McCartney back on it. And here's Angeloni, and he's going to draw a penalty. So back to the penalty kill will go the Hawks. And it's going to be a hooking call going against St. Joe's with exactly 3 minutes to go in the period. The St. Joe's penalty kill, once again sponsored by the Greg McDonald Foundation. When you're shorthanded, much as St. Joe's has been a lot tonight, grit matters most, just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. I believe that is the 15th penalty taken by St. Joe's in this game. So that would make the penalty kill, aside from the coincidentals, so technically 14th penalty kill. 13 for 14 so far tonight. Greg McDonald Foundation, proud sponsor of the special teams play here for this St. Joe's program over these last couple of weeks, and they've been getting a lot of airtime tonight with all these penalties being taken. Right now, with the lion's share, is St. Joe's. Couture with a shot from long range was sticked aside. Taken back here by Angelone, the lone goal scorer for the Knights. Back to the top of the point for Huntley. Huntley puts one on. Redirect there from Goshorn, just goes into the stanchion. Kept back in by Couture. Couture waiting for options, holding up, gets it back here onto Fonseca's tape. This one flutters nearly into the netting, but remains in play. Couture back on it again. Try to put it on the tape of his former Wolf teammate of Huntley. Back on it is Angelone. To Goshorn. Top of the point to Couture. Couture tried to put one on, fanned on the inlet shot. Goshorn will take over as the quarterback of this power play. A scramble forward in the low slot. Little bit of wide open space for Couture, but he's not able to gain possession on it. Faking the shot there was Goshorn. Now a chance there from Huntley as Howitzer goes wide. Fonseca not able to keep it in. Goshorn on the inlet, back on it, but Huntley just a tad bit offside. 34 seconds to go in the penalty against Shane Wilson on the hooking call. Looking to have another successful penalty kill here are the Hawks. We'll get the official number of penalty kills so far tonight for St. Joe's. I believe we've reached a 30-burger in terms of penalty minutes, so the penalty half hour. We'll get everything confirmed during intermission. 22 seconds to go in the man advantage. Grabowski's short side chance, gloved down by Schofield. It's in his gear. And he'll make the stop. A little bit more time clicking off. 20 seconds to go in the hooking call against Wilson. Trying to clear it out of there was Romarino. Make that Peter Borman. Kept back in by Neuman. Shot through traffic, steered aside by Schofield. Back on it was Herrera. Getting back on it here was Grabowski. Trying to put a shot on was Schindelman. Grabowski just barely able to keep that one in. Under a minute to go in the second period. Still a 2-1 close game here in the middle frame. Penalty time is up. Back to 5-on-5. And Kadehi was looking to go on the far side, and just getting across in time was Hemberger. Taking it out. Big hit to the numbers right in the corner. Now a chance for Brazil. Nice poke check there from Alex Couture to keep this a 2-1 contest. Looking to go short side there were the Knights, and another couple of good saves there out of Schofield. Delayed offside against Neuman. They'll have to tag up. 16 to go in the second. Looking for another final late tally. There was Brazil. Couture will waste a little bit of time. This bounces back into the zone. Time winding down. Neuman trying to get one final shot off. And just barely going wide. That chance there from Angelone. That'll do it. So it'll remain a 2-1 contest with no goals in the second period, but still plenty of power play time for both teams. Shots even, 25 apiece after 40 minutes gone. And buckle up and batten down the hatches for what is going to absolutely be an incredible third period of play coming up here at the Skatium. But after 40 minutes gone, your score here at the Haverford Skatium, St. Joe's 2, Neuman 1. We'll be back in just a couple of moments here on tonight's coverage of St. Joe's hockey, live on Breakout Sports Broadcasting. And we welcome you back to the third period of play here at the Havertown Skatium in Havertown, Pennsylvania, for the third period of tonight's contest between the St. Joe's University Hawks and the Neuman University Knights here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting. My name is Trey Wright, and after two periods of play, remains a 2-1 hockey game in favor of St. Joe's. We take a look at some of the upcoming schedules here for both of these teams. Like we mentioned a little bit earlier, the Knights will be on the road tomorrow afternoon as they take on the Lions of TCNJ in the middle of their 4-game road trip. That'll be at the Cy Fieldhouse, puck drop, 12:45 Eastern Time at TCNJ. And then next weekend, they're finally at home against Stockton at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday the 18th before they travel to Kutztown on Friday at 7 o'clock. That's the upcoming schedule for the Knights. And for St. Joe's, we'll get it there in just a couple of moments. But nonetheless, underway for the third period. St. Joe's trying to get their 9th win of the season, coming into tonight with a record of 8-2. 10 seconds gone in the third period so far, and this one will hit the low ceiling here at the Skatium. And this will come back into the defensive zone for St. Joe's, wearing their home white uniforms. Wearing navy and gold are the Neuman Knights. And taking a look at the upcoming schedule for St. Joe's as well. This is their last game of the season, or their last game of the weekend, as they just came off of a 4-game road trip. They'll take on George Washington on the road at the St. James on October 18th, their only game of next weekend, before they will take on George Mason on October 25th here at the Skatium on October 25th at 5 o'clock. Looking for the equalizer are the Knights. Trailing back in and wide open with a chance there was Hunter Herrera. Had the entire lane open. Was able to get a shot on net that was steered aside by Schofield. And by far the greatest chance of this third period so far for either side. Another redirect there from Borman, just going a little bit wide of the cage. Now this comes up for Brazil. Was looking for options, couldn't find anybody. Gets it back to Borman at the point. Brazil was trying to find Kadehi in the mid-slot. Borman at the point. To Maratea through traffic. Was trying to get a redirect off of Kuba. This will find its way all the way down into the St. Joe's end of the ice, where Schofield will watch as Maratea will take it down the left side. Back into the possession of the Knights. Plummer up to Schindelman for about maybe a quarter of a second. Romarino was onside. Will take Plummer's stick with him just a little bit wide of the cage. Another chance. That one was on target. Save there made by Hemberger. And Hemberger with the follow-up stop. Just shy of 2 minutes gone in the third period. Neuman looking to get back in the W column after falling to Delaware on the road at the start of their 4-game road trip last weekend in Delaware. And another St. Joe's player going to the penalty box, and we are officially in double digits for the penalty kill here tonight, which has been a very big storyline this evening. It looks like it's James Carpenter. Will get the hat trick by going to the sin bin, and he will go to the box for the 10th time tonight. And for the 10th time tonight, the St. Joe's penalty kill is sponsored by the Greg McDonald Foundation. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most, just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. Wide of the cage goes that chance. Penalty kill 8 for 9 so far tonight for the Hawks. Top of the point, that one just skitters through the blue paint before it'll find its way into the near corner. Puck nearly played down with a high stick there, and tracking back for this one is Aiden Grabowski. Grabowski onto the tape of Schindelman. Was trying to find Brian Barnett. Couldn't handle it for the time being. Clear it out once again. Huntley will tap this down for a brief moment. This comes back in the possession of Hamburger. 1:12 to go. Then the penalty against Carpenter. Schindelman down the near side. Trying to hold up and wait for options. Will find Grabowski at the point. He'll hold on to it. Keeping it in. Huntley with a slap shot. He scores! Second power play goal of the night, and Nolan Huntley with a howitzer brings us back dead even at 2. Again, that nifty passing on the man advantage. And a slap shot from the point from Huntley for his first tally as a Knight. So with exactly 17 minutes to go, the slate has been wiped clean. And as Maxine Nightingale once sang several times in the movie Slapshot, we're right back to where we started from. Deadlocked, essentially 0-0, but it's 2-2. And the penalty kills starting to hemorrhage a little bit there for this St. Joe's team, taking their 10th penalty of the night and giving up their second power play goal. And now find themselves back in a draw right now with the Knights. Face-off is won here, looking for the stretch pass. Were the Knights, and looking for another chance on another slap shot there, just going into the webbing of Schofield. That was a point-blank howitzer from Angelone, who got all the power on that slapper. I think Chris Schofield might be feeling that shot later on because he was able to glove that down barely. Herrera at the point. Was trying to find Alex Patel. This one goes up. It just barely remains in play. And now Neuman with a lot of opportunities, but here come the Hawks. Screaming back down the far side. That was Kadehi and Huntley on top of one another. 2-on-2. Patel across the blue line, dropping it back over and shooting it just over the crossbar was Rupert. He didn't get into the boards there where a couple of players. Comes back over to Fonseca at the red line. This one goes on target. Able to make another stop there was Chris Schofield. Everybody trying to get a quick line change off of here as the puck trickled into the defensive zone for Neuman. Putting one a little bit wide there was Huntley once more. Kuba trying to race after it at the far side and try to dig after it again is Goshorn. Neuman starting to buzz a little bit here. So we approach 5 minutes into the third period, and Hamburger will hold on to it from a crashing Mason Katz there. Ryan Mans, I should say, in 22. Mans was crashing in, and Hamburger with the wise decision to just hold on and freeze play. Resto and Barnett on the near side draw. Chance there from Linzo. Just goes a little bit wide. Schindelman will clear it out. Back of the far side for Goshorn. Goshorn with Barnett in the mid-slot. He was tied up. Here comes a clap bomb from Schindelman. Goes wide. Puck played with a high stick by a Neumann player, and this will come outside of the zone. Neumann playing with all sorts of momentum right now. Got the game's first goal since the 1951 mark of the first period. The game went over 20 minutes without a goal. After that 2-1 tally from Sal Triolo. But Nolan Huntley with his first as a Knight will tie things back up. And now a little bit of time and space down the far side. Just offside was Mans. And also a little bit offside there was Resto, and now some pleasantries after the fact. Schindelman having to be dragged out of the fray as he and Ryan Mans were jawing at each other like there was no tomorrow. And I don't think I have heard that many whistles from a referee trying to break up a scrimming match between a couple of young hockey players. So after all of that, face-off will come in the neutral zone down the left wing. One here by St. Joe's. This one rebounds off of the half wall where Couture will take it. Sticking it up, kept in by Wilson. An impressive transition glove save out of Hemberger. Will freeze play once more. And the tension's starting to come to a little bit of a head here between two teams that have been very physical so far tonight. A lot of penalty minutes on the score sheet. So we're approaching about maybe an hour's worth of penalty minutes, and just minors alone. The majors might start to come out if these two teams can't play nice with one another. This one tapped out of the zone will be brought back in here. Herrera will play it up to Grabowski. And Hutley will just flick it back over to his netminder for a stoppage. And some more pushing and shoving after the fact. The Lions people separating the offending players. That was Robert Romarino. That was in there for a brief moment. Rather make that it was Peter Borman. Loving to mix things up after the whistle. The best thing right now would be potentially a power play here, and given these two teams, they would each love a power play, and I think these two teams are trying to draw one from the opposition. Down the right wing is Angelone. Was the lone goal scorer for the Knights until just a few moments ago. Puts one on target, steered aside by Schofield. Back the other way, this is Stimmel. Will dump it in, and he will subsequently chase. Was trying to find a cross-lot feed for Triolo. Was looking for his second in a row. And here comes Goshorn. He's got a little bit of time and space. Puts it onto the tape and looking for the backhander there was Rupert. Era back on it again. Will take it all the way in between his face-off circles before finally dumping it over to Huntley. Huntley will find the 12 of Wolf. He goes down the far side, trying to put one on, was looking for the rebound for Goshorn, but it was just a little too far behind it. Grabowski on it, just far of the red line. This one goes off of Schofield's glove, so icing is waved off. Time winding down in a tied hockey game at 2 goals apiece. Trying to change that is Carpenter. His shot goes through the crease, but not into the back of the net. Carpenter on it again. Here's Romarino. He scores! Robert Romarino with a dart, and the lead is back in possession of the Hawks. And that all started with that play from James Carpenter. Gave it to Romarino, who is in the high slot, and a beautiful wrister sails into the top shelf where Mama will pop her zinnies. And it's back to a 1-goal lead for the Hawks. It's 3-2. Some great passing there. A lot more goal scoring in this one, and for Neuman, it's back to where you were. Schofield will keep this one alive, and Neuman back down in a 1-goal deficit, and the Hawks trying to hold on for the next 12:34. Delayed offside against St. Joe's. This will be wheeled out of here by Grabowski. He'll turn it over. Here comes the Hawks down the far side. It's Carpenter on it again. And this one, just a little tapped up into the netting. Rather, yeah, that was James Carpenter that was trying to get his first tally of the evening. Trying to join Neil Kadehi, Sal Triolo, and Robert Romarino as the Hawks that have lit the lamp so far tonight. Goals from Tommy Angelone and Nolan Huntley. Right now on the score sheet for the Neuman Knights. Kuba at the half wall will kick it back out to the point. That one deflects off of a couple of sticks and skates, where Kuba will track back this one. Pops out of the zone. Hunter's not able to keep it in. Stimmel will give chase. This is Maratea sticking it up. Bearing into the end wall are the Hawks. Brazil is back on it. Plummer will play it up to Couture. Brazil will take it away from Couture, trying to feed it up here. Now here's another chance for the Hawks. And Hamburger will once again remain tall, snuffing out that chance from Dylan Kuba. Approaching the midway point in the third period, and has been as close of a hockey game as you can imagine. With a 2-2 deadlock just being broken a handful of moments ago from a nifty wrister from Robert Romarino. Shots right now, 31-28 in favor of the Hawks. Brazil waiting for options, trying to feed it in the slot. Not able to get it to Hunter, who was waiting. Kadehi trying to poke it to himself, and he'll do so. Feeding Hunter. Hunter looking for a chance just over the bar. Back to the top of the zone. Hamburger's got it, and he will make another save. Hamburger has been elite so far tonight, 29 for 32, and like we saw from Ethan May last night for the TCNJ Lions, has kept his team in this contest facing a high volume of shots. And off of the draw, it's Huntley with the last night's goal, trying to generate another one. We'll get it back over to Herrera. This will find McCartney. Gets it over to Schindelman. Schindelman lost the handle of it, was trying to glove it back over to himself, and he'll turn it over in the offensive zone. Here comes St. Joe's once again. Lumbering across is Resto. That's kicked aside by another save from Hamburger. That one into the boards, and now we've got a Hawk down. And now, after the fact, we've got pushing and shoving in the high slot. And that all started when Ryan Mans was folded in half at the boards. And a couple of players went after one another. I believe that was Hunter Herrera and Aiden Linzo that may have gotten to a little bit of a mini scrap, and we'll get the talks about it here. And Linzo looks like he might be getting a 5 in a game here. And we will get a discussion at it as Linzo will get an early shower with 10:43 to go in the third. And we'll see if there is any subsequent night that will go to the box. That all started with a dangerous play as Mans was folded in half at the far wall. I couldn't tell who it was that hit him. But nonetheless, maybe going back to the Greg McDonald penalty kill here. When you're shorthanded, grit matters most, just like the Greg McDonald Foundation, fighting to keep kids in the game with scholarships and support. Be where your feet are, be part of the legacy. And we'll see if this will end up being a power play for Neuman here. Trying to look back at what happened. And it looks like it's just going to be 2 minutes going on the board. So it looks like it might be just a 2 minute, a 2 and a 10 for roughing after the fact for Aiden Linzo. Linzo will go to the locker room to cheer on his team from there. And it's another power play here for Neuman that has struck on 2 of them so far tonight. Barnett at the half wall, trying to feed Schindelman, and he's got it. Back over to Barnett, waiting for options, was trying to find somebody in the slot. Back across, looking for a deflection play. There was Herrera. Herrera still on it. Feeds Schindelman. Schindelman waits for options. Seam pass all the way across, and just handled there by Grabowski. Not handled well enough there, and that one will trickle all the way back to Hamburger. Hamburger turned it over. But Carpenter a little bit trying to feed across there to Romarino. He's hit hard into the boards. And we'll go 4-on-4 for the time being. We might get some more penalties here. as both referees called that. And we'll be going back to the 4-on-4. And Schindelman trying to plead his case here, but it looks like he will officially hit the hat trick for the penalties tonight. And looking back at the play with Mans. So Mans got hit into the wall by Schindelman a couple of moments ago. And then Schindelman got taken out by Aiden Linzo, and that resulted in the mini scrum right in the mid-slot. So Schindelman has been in the heads of a lot of players over on the Hawks side of things tonight. And obviously, first and foremost, the health and well-being of Ryan Mans is the main concern here. But we'll play some 4-on-4 for a little bit. Chris Hunter on target. Save there made by Hemberger. And here comes Couture the other direction. Not able to hold on to it was Angelone. 55 seconds to go. And the penalty against Linzo. Near side chance. Here comes Carpenter screaming down the right wing. Nearly hit in the boards. Dance around a hit from Couture. Carpenter still on it. Trying to feed Romarino. Hemberger trying to keep it out. He will. Romarino on it again. 4-on-4 has been a strong suit so far tonight for the Hawks. Right on the doorstep, they score! Shane Wilson on the 4-on-4 will make it a 2-goal lead. Wilson on the one-time tap-in. Gets his first of the night, and it's a 4-2 contest. And that all started with another beautiful chance there from James Carpenter, and he once again lays it off. And will remain 4-on-4 here, and now with a little bit more daylight. Are the Hawks halfway through the third period now with their biggest lead of the evening so far? And St. Joe's will have an abbreviated power play for about 45 seconds. 5 seconds to go. Sal Triolo was the one serving the minor for Linzo, and we're back to 5-on-4. And back here go the Hawks on the Greg McDonald power play. Greg McDonald was a proud St. Joe's alum who believed hockey builds leaders. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. 8:20 to go in the third period, 4-2. And looking for another win in a row are the red-hot St. Joe's Hawks. Kadehi was trying to get it back over the 43 of Maratea, who blew a tire right at the red line. 8 minutes even to go in the third period. Here's Hunter. Rather Kadehi spinning away will feed Kuba. Kuba gets crunched into the Zamboni door by Couture, and he goes flying. Taken away there by Brazil. Brazil trying to find it. They score! Neil Kadehi bookending the goal scoring right now, and it's a 5-spot for the Hawks. Brazil with the feed, Kadehi with the finish. And the dam's starting to leak for Neuman. And it looks like the Knights will take their time out here with 7:45 to go, and it has been all St. Joe's for the last couple of shifts here at the Skatium, and they have quickly pulled away with this one. It is 5-2. With 3 goals coming in this third period from the Hawks, and Neuman just trying to find their legs. And it looked like the Knights were going to have the momentum after that game-tying goal from Huntley. But since then, it has been all St. Joe's with goals from Romarino, Wilson, and Kadehi. For Kadehi's second of the night, he's on hat trick watch as of right now, and he's got 7:45 to try to complete it. And there's only so much you can do there if you're Corey Hemberger who's faced 37 shots tonight as the Hawks have quickly pulled away in that margin. And he has played an exponentially well game so far tonight. But with these shot selections and these grade A chances that the Hawks have been getting all night long, you're not going to get every grade A chance. They're grade A for a reason. Hemberger has been able to hold up his end of the bargain, looking for a little bit more offense from his skaters. So it's a 5-2 lead for St. Joe's. So they look to get yet another win in a row. Bodies colliding in the referee's crease, ironically. Coming back over to Hunter Herrera for a brief moment. And St. Joe's looking for a little bit more here. 7:22 to go in the third period. Herrera back on it. Fanned on the outlet pass, is able to bank it across where he'll find Alex Patel. And down on the far side once again is Huntley, who's got a snipe, but not able to beat Christopher Schofield on it once again. And another save there on the short side chance from Schofield. As St. Joe's, who started the season 0-2, looking for their 9th win in a row. Right now, the hottest team, potentially, definitely in the ACCHL Elite, potentially in all of M2 right now. And this team has been coached here by Dean Keeney, as we're going to get another stoppage. We're going to get some players colliding. We're going to get some players talking to one another, conversing with each other. 6:53 to go in the third period. We might see a couple more misconducts being dished out. One player's already been tossed from the contest, that one being Aiden Linzo. We'll see if anybody else gets tossed out here, if we get any more fisticuffs. Wilson, the captain, with 1 goal tonight, trying to get it back up to the 13 of Taurico. Triola wasn't able to keep it in. Here's another chance brewing for the Knights over on the far side. Just getting it back out here is Angelone. That one not on target, but still nice pad save. That one was on target. Schofield will make the stop. .613 and counting. A 3-goal lead for the Hawks right now. Free puck in the high slot. Looking for a call there was Fonseca. He's looking to get another power play opportunity for Neuman. And Neuman has been able to cash in on a couple of power plays as the bucket being knocked off by Gordon Schindelman. And a big play there from who else but Ryan Manns, getting a little bit of vengeance there on Schindelman. And he popped the bucket clean off of the freshman. And that might be the end of the evening for Schindelman as well, as he was mouthing off to the St. Joe's bench, and he is being directed back to the locker room, and he is still very irate as he walks back. So another misconduct being dealt out. Schindelman still screaming at the St. Joe's bench. I'm not sure how much they'll be able to hear him from there. So the misconduct's being dealt out here by the referees. 5:50 to go in the third period, and I believe we may have reached an hour's worth of penalties so far tonight between these two teams. Romarino, looking for his second, was trying to find Shanahan. He'll take it himself, trying to feed Carpenter in the slot. We'll find Chris Hunter. Hunter puts one a little bit wide. Hemberger will steer that aside. Wheeling it out there is Grabowski. Up to Goshore. Cutting in and out. Goshore on to Schofield. He'll steer it aside. Couture will put it in. He's crunched into the boards by Shanahan. He wanted a call, so did the Neuman bench. He will bring down a player. Couture desperately wanting a call as he took down Shanahan. And now the referee's arms remaining down. 5 minutes to go in the third period. 5-2. St. Joe's leads. Nearly hit into the bench there was Carpenter trying to get the puck back on the tape. Fighting with it with Goshorn. Those two coming together, and it comes back to Shanahan. Shanahan's pass back to Kadehi, who is on hat trick watch right now, just a little too far off. Kadehi will bank this all the way back over to Trey Fingerhut. Fingerhut turns it over to Wolf. Couture racing for it in the corner. 4:25 to go in the third period. Neuman player is down over at the far side as Brazil is onside. Brazil back with it. Brazil on Hemberger was looking to go short side for a snipe and will miss the crossbar. .413 to go in the third period. Again, looking for that 9th win in a row. To be 9-2 on the season is St. Joe's. And for Neuman, they're just trying to end their losing streak here. So they lost to Delaware, and right now on pace to lose. They score! It was redirected home in the low slot. I'm not sure who got the final redirect, but the touchdown is complete. 6 goals on the board. And it looks like that redirect is going to Mikey Brazil. He's first in the Selly line. And that'll essentially be the game right there. And the Hawks will come out of this one more than likely with a nice win over the Knights. So Brazil will become the 5th different goal scorer for the Hawks tonight. And it's now a 6-2 lead, and the dam is completely broken open. Huntley, who's got a little bit of a silver lining in tonight's loss. That one goes over the crossbar, cranked out of there by Angelone, as Huntley able to get his first goal here at the collegiate level. All the guys from Westchester, including the broadcaster Lucas Jones, will be excited to hear that he was able to get on the score sheet with a howitzer to make it a 2-2 game. But it has been all St. Joe's ever since then. Kuba trying to send Hamburger's jockstrap into the rafters and lost the handle of it. Back and forth we go once again, and trying to play keep away is Preston Goshorn. Shot from Wolf, steered aside by a couple of Navy legs. Kuba at the blue line once again, just trying to get out of his own zone. Into the neutral zone, he is railroaded! And that'll generate another power play here for St. Joe's as Hunter Herrera leveling him in the back. So Herrera will go to the penalty box here for what will be a charging call, and it's going to be a 5-minute major for Herrera. An all-you-can-eat buffet to end things off is not a bad way to end things off here. Herrera to the box for 5, and St. Joe's looking to kick the convert. So we're back to the Greg McDonald power play here for an extended time for the rest of this game. St. Joe's power play brought to you by the Greg McDonald Foundation. Greg McDonald was a proud St. Joe's alum who believed hockey builds leaders. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. Starts with a win as Shane Wilson, one of the 5 goal scorers tonight, will get things started. Wilson back on it at the point. Fans on the inlet pass, and it's backhanded out of there by McCallion. 2:45 to go in the contest. 6-2 lead the Hawks. St. Joe's will have a tough task next week to try to keep the streak alive as they will take on George Washington at the St. James on the road. Cleared out the length of the ice by Neuman, who will be on the penalty kill for the remainder of this game. 2:15 remain in the contest, and leading by 4 are the Hawks. Looking to get one more here is St. Joe's. And this is Resto down the far side. Nearly hit into the wall. We'll try to get it back over to Stimmel. Kept in there by Marietta. Stimmel on it. He's got Hunter right down Broadway. And that's steered aside by Hemberger. Maratea at the point. Puts one on. Hemberger will steer it aside. Rebound collected by his teammates. And cleared out of here by Barnett. Final 100 seconds to go at the Havertown Skatium, and another statement win here tonight for the Hawks of St. Joseph's. Kuba at the blue line. Skates across the red line, dances away from a hit, and will lay it up for Ryan Mans. Mans trying to get it over to Resto as Alex Couture trying to get out of his own end. 1:18 to go in the third period. Maratea does an impressive job of keeping it in. Kuba looking to go short side. This one goes all the way out. Kept into the point by St. Joe's. Mans on it again. Back to the top of the point. For Lulek through traffic. Waffle board into the air. Still it's kept in. 1 minute to go in the third period, and St. Joe's looking for a little bit of a cherry on top. The puck was covered there by Preston Goshorn. He was forced to the ice. And the frustration continuing to boil over for the Knights of Neuman University. They'll look to get back in the W column, taking on the Lions of the College of New Jersey tomorrow afternoon in a Sunday matinee matchup in Central New Jersey. Hemberger will stop this one, and he'll get a stoppage in play with 46.5 to go. And again, it has not been anything against Hemberger. He has seen 42 shots on net, and it's been nothing but grade A chances and redirects from St. Joe's. Kuba pitching it in, backhanded away by Hemberg, shot number 43 of the night. And he has not gotten a whole lot of help on the offensive side of the things, although there have been 35 shots on net for Neuman. Steering all but 2 aside has been Chris Schofield, who has played exponentially well so far tonight as well. Down to the final 32 seconds here in the third period. Plummer in the trapezoid will clear this out, and that just about hit us here in the broadcast booth. Fortunately, that didn't hit us up here. I'd like to thank all of our help we have had here this evening, our technical director, Emily Cott, as well as the scratches here tonight for St. Joe's, helping us out immensely in tonight's production. In their own way, contributing to tonight's 6-2 win here at the Havertown Skatium. Final seconds will tick off, and St. Joe's looking to hold it in their own zone here for the final seconds will tick off, and that will do it. Make it 9 in a row for the Hawks as they take down the Neuman University Knights. 6-2, your final score. A dominant statement win tonight, just outside of the city of brotherly love, but there was no brotherly love between these two programs tonight. The 6-2 is your final score. 5 different goal scorers tonight from the St. Joe's Hawks. And they will look to make it 10 wins in a row as they will take on George Washington next weekend on the road in Springfield, Virginia, just outside of the capital of the United States of Washington, D.C., as the teams will go into the handshake line. That'll do it here for tonight's broadcast. Another big thank you to the Greg McDonald Foundation for coming on for the special teams here this season. Of course, the Greg McDonald Foundation. Greg McDonald was a proud St. Joe's alum who believed hockey builds leaders. Be where your feet are. Be part of the legacy. And a big shout out to them. They got plenty of airtime tonight with all the festivities on both sides of the ice. But on behalf of everybody at Breakout Sports Broadcasting at St. Joseph's University, my name is Trey Wright saying so long from Haverford, Pennsylvania, here on tonight's coverage of St. Joe's Hawks hockey here on Breakout Sports Broadcasting, live on YouTube. Have a great evening, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy your Sunday afternoon tomorrow.